The first indicator that I might not be in the right place for trauma was when I asked what the research was, and they told me there's not much research for PTSD. Really? Are you familiar with prolonged exposure therapy? It's a writing process.
I'm going to interrupt you, which means I'm getting a little bit lost, and I want to be able to understand fully what you're trying to say. What is the exact memory that you have that's either sound, pictures, or touches that is connected to insurance and what you're calling anxiety sobriety? Now, is this a person? We want to be able to describe people by some of the emotions that they emit. In fact, it's a great way to label them when we don't want to necessarily say their name. 100% reason to remember the name. I just wanted to clarify. What is the memory associated with this insurance and anxiety
So May
sobriety?
14th is a very important date to me. It's my anniversary to how I got my voice back. Automatically, I do less stuttery, less sputtery. I still have these spit spurts and pops. That's why I said to the doctors, hey, listen, just stop. Stop telling me to take narcotics because I'm way underweight. Stop forcing me to question your credentials. So I guess I'll have to investigate. Show me your documentation because I don't trust you anymore. You've lied too many times. And maybe that's why we have this internet for.
Again, is that the reason why we have this internet for?
Order to record because no one seems to believe me. I guess I'm just too pretty. And my niceness and patience is starting to hurt me. The first question to the doctors to explain what you mean because I don't believe you anymore. God gave me this voice, so what is it for? And that is what we're gonna now explore, the purpose, to make sure that no one feels worthless. Like I said, I'll keep rhyming with a beat in my heart. If we all recognize that we're a unique piece of art, it doesn't matter if you're book smart. Hell no. I lost that long ago. But I can function independently. That's what matters most. Talk to parents. You don't want to pay for anything. It's all about the insurance and your employment, their anxiety, sobriety, and that's what I'll be sharing verbatim, that PTSD. What, you ain't gonna teach me? Decided early on at age 6 that you can't reach me? That's why I self-harm. It works. Get the attention I need. Get out of work easily. Just have to act like a nutter. Just have to lose my cool. How do you think it starts? This origin of hating school. All these kids, they tell me in our little social group what hurts the worst and what will work to avoid punishment. And fuck that golden rule. You don't want to treat me like you treat yourself. This is the cause of our mental health, the breakdown that's happening. Changing up my voice so you can't follow me. So you can't find me. That contact that they're needing so badly. It doesn't matter if it's a slap or a pinch. Cut with scissors. My curiosity growing inch by inch. How to control it all. We must make a decision as a society that the objective is trauma will fall. Trauma will fall.
In the 2012-2013 school year, I was assaulted repeatedly. The 7th assault was a headbutt that was a head and neck injury which caused a nerve radiculopathy, vestibular issues or chronic vertigo, and numbness in half of my body. I met some of the best and worst physical and occupational therapists, and my vestibular team was pretty top-notch. Some of the knowledge that they imparted was about centralization, that eventually the injury would centralize back to the origin site. So in order to recover from the symptoms of this assault, what they call chronic pain from trauma, is to visualize unraveling a snowball along the same line, and that it's very difficult. You must go very slowly. You can literally track the nerves going back to the origin site. I applied what the therapist told me to emotional, mental, psychological trauma when I was diagnosed with PTSD in 2015 after being punched in the face, kicked in the face, and stabbed. This last act of violence being when PTSD truly settled in because it was done in front of adults who literally did nothing. Later, one of the adults' name would appear on a list of names to testify against me, where they were going to basically lie about the violence, even though they were the ones who were dealing with it. When you disconnect people, you can string along whatever story you want, and this was the behavior of my cat's previous guardian, who decided to change the narrative related to his childhood trauma. That was the excuse that he used in year 1 of our relationship to explain all of his behaviors, especially the one related to marriage, money, anxiety, and children. I'll explain later. Thank you. Whew, that was rough. That's called a first go. Then you edit it, but just get it out of your body. as fast as you possibly can. We already accept that people may change their behaviors based on the environment or the company or in social settings because we have an established set of rules when you are with others in a public place. But I'm talking about the stuff that goes on behind the scenes and what they are actually trying to do when there's... See, I'm losing my voice, so we're just gonna stop here. This image represents characterization and traits that people aren't aware of until after the fact that it's made public, and then we're kind of shocked, like, I had no idea about that person, or somebody might say, I knew everything about that person. Let's talk about experience. That's what I like best. And anyway, I just happened to show this film quickly in a Periscope, and this is the picture that's saved. So anyway, we're going to accept that things happen for a reason, and the universe aligns to remind us that we are here for a reason. Let's figure that out together.
Body reacts in a way that tells me I must do it. My head will start working later, but my whole career has been about how do I react physically? How did I react physically when I experienced Jonathan Larson's Tick, Tick, Boom the first time? That made me write him the next day and say, I want to produce your musicals, which led to Rent. How did it make me feel the first time that I heard Bobby Lopez and Jeffrey Mark's song, If You Were Gay at Avenue Q? And those are the visceral moments that are like being present for the birth of a child. And that's what makes my job so pleasurable and rewarding. Thank you. How did it make me feel the first time?
To be fully in tune to the fact that the very specialists here to help are the ones that are causing the trauma. How did it feel the first time that I realized my then fiance never needed to be in my home, but because of a dominating mother who told him no, you couldn't dump a fiance who had been assaulted and now labeled disabled, led to a series of events that ensured that I would take his cat from him because he was being abusive. And this action was going to re-trigger the sabotage of parents with children with autism who are sabotaging their education, their future, because they can't see the long-term benefits of actually doing the routine. Instead, weaving a narrative that makes sure that they win in these due process cases for these amounts of money. 5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand can change your life. Well, what about the money for the kids? That's what it's meant for. So accountability and transparency is definitely needed in the field of mental health, but not focused on the patients. Focus on the grown-ups with their specialist degrees that are taking advantage. Because then they can just rewrite the narrative in the paperwork. How did it feel the first time I was raped? That's what we'll talk about next. Ew, because I keep reliving it because it's in my body. What don't they get about survivor-victim mentality? And the cure for it, quite frankly, is to find someone who's into consent and that will do the things that your body was meant to do. Not to get graphic. Anyway, moving on. So the final step is to just sum up what I just said that might become later pieces of work down the line. This helps to organize verbally, auditorily, as well as indicate whether or not it is a true trigger. The reason why I'm asking for documentation is because I've been lied to too many times by Northwestern Memorial Hospital as well as Eileen Johnson. The request is to change my records to reflect the reality so that once I start talking to individuals and if I'm in another legal case, the records reflect the fact that I was assaulted physically and dealt with a physical injury for more than 2 years. That means that this person lived in my house, saving his money for 2 years, doing things that I did not consent to. When I finally reported it to the doctors because I was in this court case knowing full well that the lawyers were going to take advantage of that, since my own lawyer at the time, who wasn't going to assist me in federal court, so I was pro se, even said, you have so much trauma, which again was piggybacking off of what the doctor said. So, okay, so what? I'm still talking about the violence that happened against kids with special needs. Eileen Johnson, you've lied way too many times. The last lie that broke me, didn't really break me, just made me decide to share this publicly, was the fact that this woman was not certified. I have a letter stating that in 2018, I was released as a patient from my request when really it was this fake conversation they had about policy and attendance. Also, I questioned whether or not their entire practice is trying to diagnose people to feel differently, which became the re-trigger of my ex-husband who used this concept of difference as being his little hiccup in life to cause all the issues that he has, which, might be perfectly true, except you don't get to change the narrative and do things that are both re-triggering, also criminal. And in November 2015, I let his family know, listen, I can answer the question of what's wrong with them because I took him to therapy, and I don't know what he shared with you, but he shared enough for me to know that he needs to get out of my house and give me back my property, period. The other thing is how yellow became a race thing that I've been dampening, why my interior of my house has a lot of yellow, all right? Every time I painting with yellow, I am dampening the racist doctors. Also, the doctor who's using my race and adoption as a way to, again, feel different, which is, again, re-triggering that ex-husband who used difference as the excuse. My family hates difference were his words in the first year. Okay, I'm an educator for kids with special needs where difference is truly a theme in their lives, and mistreatment stems from the fact of them being different. Let's just put that away for a little bit. Also, I'm going to talk about rape and rape culture and the fact that victimology is part of why I chose to go into education. I could have pursued any career. Doctors who are trying to make adoption and race seem such a horrible thing when I kept explaining to them that, hey, I'm Asian, but I have other Asian members in my family. Finally, I think the last thing that I think is popping up is the fact that this is the intro, the beginning of poetry. We're going to have to now focus in on those bits and start putting it to music. So, 5 playlists, okay? First playlist, this one, which is to get it out in the pre-writing in parts 1, 2, 3, and 4 as I continuously organize. Then the second playlist will be how to never buy a house, which is what this person did. Okay. I mean, don't choose to do it this way where you live with someone that you never wanted to marry and live a lie basically for 2 to 3 years, creating havoc and causing a delay in recovery for the person who honestly is genuinely believing. Third playlist will be how to throw a small family wedding, because I think I did pretty well with that. Plus, he gives me credit in an email, so we might as well bounce off of his words yet again. Fourth playlist, dating, meeting, and relating, because I know how to end trauma. It's about finding a partner who is, on top of consent and isn't going to try to fuck with your head concussion. Okay, and the fifth and final playlist are healthcare reviews. That's it. I don't know how else to do this because my writing is not great, but I'm ahead of my voice. And because I'm ahead of my voice, which means I can use my voice as a weapon, and I write the way I speak. So if I can hear my voice better and basically copy it verbatim, then I'm pretty sure I can tell the story in the way that I want to tell it, while elevating theater and elevating all the things that helped me get through this, which is art, music, drama, war, history, the elderly, animals, Africa, charity, true organizations, true collaboration, true supports, and true doctors and specialists, not the phony balonies that I've been encountering for 5 years, since 2015. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye.